Hello and welcome back to another quick vocab term for APUS history. Today we're going to be talking about the Compromise of 1850, which is found in APUSH period 5. So here's your definition. A package of 5 separate bills that attempted to diffuse sectional tensions over the expansion of slavery. Henry Clay's compromise was proposed in response to the application of California as a free state and included the incredibly divisive Fugitive Slave Act. So Henry Clay is known as the Great Compromiser. He was also the man behind the Missouri Compromise, drafted these series of proposals attempting to prevent sectional crisis. So the main aspects are it admits California as a free state. So California had applied to become a free state, and that would have upset the balance of slave and free states because California was the 31st state. It determined that popular sovereignty would be used in the territories of New Mexico and Utah to that the people in those territories would decide whether they would be free or slave states. So it kind of pushed it out of Congress's hands for those regions. It resolved a border dispute between Texas and New Mexico and issues of Texas's public debt. It also abolished the slave trade in the District of Columbia. It did not abolish slavery there, but just the slave trade. And it included the incredibly controversial enhanced fugitive slave law. So here's what you can see happens from the Compromise of 1820 to the Compromise of 1850. So you can see that with these new territories, the expansion of slavery was questioned. What would happen in all that gray territory? So with the Compromise of 1850, all the orange areas would slavery would be prohibited, and then the green areas. So that just includes Texas. Texas had already joined the Union at this time, and they were a slave state. But these yellow areas, that's new. The federal government is not going to determine for these states their status. Instead, the people of the states will. That's called popular sovereignty. So I want to highlight the Fugitive Slave Act because that was really, really controversial. So the context of this act is that it's not new. It was a very similar act, just less severe, was in the Constitution. But it's the expansion of this law that makes it so violently opposed. So it included a new corps of federal agents to help capture runaway enslaved persons. So it's not just going to be privately paid individual slave catchers. Now there will be federal agents that are helping this process. It also appointed federal commissioners to determine the status of an accused fugitive. So this accused fugitive will go before one commissioner, not a jury, and there will be no appeal. And that one person will determine whether they are a free person or whether they are an actual fugitive. Now, the commissioner will actually be paid double if they determined the person was a fugitive rather than a free person. The expansion of the Fugitive Slave Act also included a fine for aiding fugitives. So if you were someone in the North who was aiding fugitives, or in the South, I suppose, if you were someone who was aiding runaway enslaved persons, you could be fined up to $1,000. So there was severe outrage over the act, and it's probably best demonstrated in a discussion of the book Uncle Tom's Cabin. This is a great best-selling book. If you have a chance and are interested, check it out. But it prevents the cruelty and immorality of slavery like many Northerners had never heard before. The South had many censoring laws over the media and what came out of their lands. And so people were pretty ignorant of what life was like for people in the South. So it describes the main character, Uncle Tom, as the ever patient and kind enslaved man, and his evil owner, Simon Legree. And it also has another main character, Eliza Harris, who has this heroic escape into Canada. This book was so popular that it became the best-selling book of the century besides the Bible. However, Southerners argued that it painted a false picture of the South. But really what this does is it's written after the compromise is created in 1852, and it presents a reason for Northerners to fight against the Fugitive Slave Act. It presents a reason for people to become abolitionists, really. So the significance of the Compromise of 1850 is that it does temporarily prevent secession, but it demonstrates the growing intensity of sectional conflict and the belief that the Union really couldn't exist half free and half slave, that there were these sharp tensions that likely were not going to be resolved by this one compromise. Additionally, the outrage over the Fugitive Slave Act fuels the abolitionist movement, and that's key moving forward towards the American Civil War in 1860. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If so, please like and subscribe.